Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I'm your favorite manifestational coach. All the information from me is below. I mainly coach in audio exchange. I also have packages, mostly all of them, that includes some phone call conversations. I have a package that is only phone calls if you prefer to do that. My coaching is unlike any other coaching on the internet, very thorough, very detail oriented. Please come to my coaching humble and be prepared to spend at least a month in coaching. Usually, realistically speaking, it's 2 to 3 months. You do have to pre-book my time because I usually have a waiting list and I coordinate who is next to start coaching with me. My time is very valuable because there are people depending on me. I take my responsibility as a coach extremely seriously. Everything is confidential in my coaching. Even some people who have pissed me off, I have never spoken a word about them. That's how professional I am. What I ask is that you take your coaching seriously. You need to come prepared, like I say, to spend at least a month, and realistically speaking, it's 2 to 3 months if you really want to complete the process. Because my coaching is very thorough. I go through your childhood, your adolescence, your teenage years, your mother, your father, your guardians, what have you. And we clear out the beliefs that you've built thus far through your experiences. This is very important. Not a lot of coaches out there will tell you this. This is the bulk of my work. Because why? Everybody knows on my channel, everybody who has ears has downloaded this already, because beliefs form your world. True or untrue beliefs form your world. So it's impossible for me to get to start manifesting with you some kind of magical situation in your life if I can't cover coherently what it is that you have built thus far, your blueprint. A lot of people are so in a rush to get to somewhere where they can manifest, and they don't realize, unfortunately, that the right way to go about in coaching is let the coach guide you. Okay? Let the coach guide you. If you could have done this on your own, you would have. Then you wouldn't have needed a coach. You need to trust the process. You need to relinquish your ego, your attitudes and this and that. Come humble, like I say. My coaching comes with an agreement, which basically says that I am not a therapist. I do not treat psychological disorders, and I'm not going to put up with somebody disrespecting me. Immediately, my coaching will be terminated. I don't have time for that fucking bullshit. Like I say, I am booked up for months on end. I have very limited amount of time to start, engaging in some kind of drama, because I need to move on to another person who really needs my help. So if you're about drama panorama, I don't have the time for that. I really need to distribute my time wisely and go help the next person who's going to take my guidance and take this coaching seriously. So, in other words, if you're getting on board with me, you really need to understand I'm not a therapist. I don't have time for drama. I don't have time for people who start stalking and harassing me and bombarding me with messages. I need somebody who is intelligent enough to understand that I'm there to help them, and let me help you if you let me. If you're going to start acting out, like I say, I don't have the time for it. I need to conserve my energy and move on. Now, if you need to pre-book my coaching, please don't use my Cash App right now. Please use my website. until I tell you that it's safe to do so. Somebody actually hacked my Cash App yesterday, and police is investigating, because that's how I'd like to spend my time. This is a joke. This person apparently went around on shopping spree, grocery shopping, and going to McDonald's and doing all sorts of food shopping. Somebody was very hungry, I guess. And they're trying, they're going to arrest this person because it's credit card fraud. So basically, don't use my Cash App for the time being. Just use use my website. I still don't know how they were able to do it, but that's beside the point. This is, yeah, really, really crazy. Luckily, this person was stupid enough to order for DoorDash delivery, and so we got their address and, their name. So the agreement that you sign when you're coaching with me basically says, I'm not a therapist. I'm not here to cure psychological issues. I'm here to help you with your manifestational goals. Okay, if you bombard me with messages, if you send me more than one message, one audio longer than 20 minutes, that's a no-no. If you start arguing with me about my methods, if you start, being, really disrespectful towards me, I have the right to interrupt our coaching. I don't have the time for that. Like I said, people really need me, and I'd rather work with people who really appreciate my time. I really invest in my clients tremendously. One audio of 20 minutes takes me up to 2 hours to go through. 1 hour to listen to it, take my notes. I listened to it one more time just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, because people are different, accents, different stories and backgrounds and this and that. I really want to hear everything you say. I really hold your hand throughout the entire process, and then it takes me at least a half hour, sometimes 40 minutes, to answer back what my analysis is and what I really think you should do. I'm very thorough. I'm very intuitive. I give my all to you, and I really expect respect when you show up to my coaching. For the time that I spend on every single client, I charge $200 an hour on a phone call. I put in like endless hours, okay? And it's all documented, but at least, I would say, at least 10 hours a week on each client. And I don't even know how I do it, but I do it. I fall asleep to your audios. I want to help as many people as I can because I truly, truly fucking care about my work, okay? If you have any questions, my email is below. Like I say, just pre-book on my website. There are different packages. I recommend a month minimum. Like I said, there's a month unlimited complete where you're mostly on the phone with me. There's also a coaching for coaches. There's a seminar for up to 10 people, and there's also a crash course for one, which is basically an audio, and then up to 2 hours of my time on the phone, discussing any questions that you might have. The regular monthly does include 5 conversations on the phone, up to 1 hour each. So that's really good. But like I say, realistically speaking, please come prepared to spend at least 2 to 3 months with me, because I don't want to be rushed. I don't want to rush you. I want to do my job correctly. And that's just all there is to it. And if you want to do the crash course for one, do it on your own. Go ahead and do it. But it just doesn't involve interacting with me other than, like I said, 2 hours of my time. And if you have any questions, please comment below or email me directly. The email is magicandmiracles7@gmail.com. Thank you. All right. So the topic of today is manifesting while having anxiety, OCD, and PTSD. Heavy duty subject. It's not a joke. It is. It is quite heavy duty subject. Now, again, the disclaimer remains, right? I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. And what I can say is, in the time of me coaching other people, which I deal with a lot of artists, and it is my practice that I encounter a lot of people with these conditions. Anxiety, very prevalent, OCD and PTSD sometimes. And the common thread throughout all of this is fear. Fear-based mentality. You live through something, and you download a fear-based belief system. And you start operating from that belief system versus another one that you used to have before. Now, a lot of people in my care, like artists and songwriters, actors, develop OCD, for example, in their childhood because there was some drama going on at home. And usually people develop OCD because they would like to have some kind of control over the course of, over the events of their life. They don't have any control over the drama that's happening around them, and they develop this pattern of rituals, thought patterns, and this and that in order to try to grasp control of some kind. But it's basically fear-based. They're fearing of what's coming next. Anxiety, same thing. What am I doing next? What's coming next? Where is the next kind of danger coming from? The looming danger aspect of it. In the natural, right, you're not supposed to really worry so much. You're supposed to relax and enjoy the process of creation and be one with your authentic self. This fear-based mentality is something that was thrust upon you by circumstances that you've lived through, which is why it's so important to go through the belief systems and examine them one by one, brick by brick, of what it is that you've gone through that made you feel so anxious, made you feel like you don't have control. PTSD is another one. It usually has to do with a very traumatic event. It doesn't like what's traumatic to one person doesn't have to be traumatic to another. But it doesn't, in other words, it doesn't have to be something really major, quote unquote. It can be something very, a negative event that really made you feel like you're in danger constantly. You're permanently in danger. And like I said, what's traumatic to one person doesn't have to be traumatic to another, so it's all individual. But it's basically fear-based. Where is the next danger coming from? And so if you have any of these conditions, and if you have these kind of like thought patterns of when is the next thing that's going to be horrible that's going to happen to me, or when is the other shoe going to drop, and this and that, then the thing is to relearn the pattern of thinking. The belief system has been affected. Obviously, it's been hijacked, like my Cash App, by some kind of a monster. A monster being a belief that isn't true. Like somebody believing they can get away with stealing from me is obviously confused because they're going to end up in jail. Likewise, somebody who thinks that the normal way is to constantly worry about the next thing going wrong is confused. They're attacked by a hacker. They're hacked in. Their system is hacked in by a fear-based belief situation. And so usually it's associated with events, of course, and to identify this event and to zero in on it and understand this was just an event and unpack it and really stop giving it this importance and analyze it for what it really was. Just a confused person who attacked you. Just a confused person who chose to make you feel a certain way. A person who doesn't know any better. You took it in and then formed a belief out of it, and therefore anxiety and OCD and then PTSD. Now, by the way, I'm not talking about PTSD in terms of like people in the military and this and that. This is a whole other situation that, I don't deal with, quite frankly. I'm talking about something that when somebody comes against you and attacks you and makes you feel a certain way, it resides in your memory, it resides in your belief system. Okay? Maybe you were young, maybe you were not so young. But the idea is you allowed this into your belief system. You did not reject this situation. You inhaled it. You allowed it. Now the process is to unlearn it, to completely unlearn it and start examining, why am I believing what I'm believing? Who told me this? Is this even real? And most likely, most often than not, you will find that it's a lie. Those ideas are lies, penetrating your system, trying to hijack you in the most, unfavorable way. This is, when I talk about in my coaching, the beliefs, like belief systems that don't serve you, it's like a pile of garbage in the middle of your living room. And you can't serve champagne and caviar. This is on another level. The anxiety, the OCD, and the PTSD, it's like a gigantic pile of garbage. But it's a pile of garbage nevertheless. It's a lot of trauma that you never took out. Where if you start questioning these things and say, where did I pick this up? Why did I buy into this idea? Why do I believe this versus this? Because look at both versions of events where you buy into some kind of drama panorama, right? And I'm, making light of it on purpose. Versus things going your way and no other way. Both events, the sequence of events are valid. Both of them are valid. So doom versus victory is valid. In both situations, it's valid. First of all, every kind of configuration of these two polarities are valid. Whether you're like completely distraught and anxious and fearful and this and that, versus victorious and healthy-minded and this and that, both situations are completely valid. So how do you manifest when you're being anxious? Well, first of all, you need to really, really examine your belief system. And that's the point I'm trying to drive at. The belief system is what you're really dealing with. Your belief system was hijacked. And now you need to unfucking hijack it. You need to create a new PIN code. Change your card number. You need to change your identity. You need to become somebody new. And the way to do it is you reprogram your mind. Because the mind is all you have. All is mind. All is thought form. And so one by one, whatever fears are that you carry, one by one you start questioning, is this real? Is this real? Is this real? And most of the time, if it's a fear-based belief, the answer is no, it's not fucking real. It's not real. It resides in your head, there is that, but it's not fucking real. So if you've been creating, and notice, right? The other day I had this conversation with one of my clients and she quoted me back the Einstein quote. Whether you think the universe is a friendly place or it's not, in both, either way you're right. I'm paraphrasing. But the thing is, right? Either you get to create from fear-based mentality or you get to create from faith-based mentality. Bob Proctor, another, genius thinker who's unfortunately not with us anymore, has said faith and fear require you, both of them, to trust in something you cannot see. Faith and fear. Now you choose which one you want to go with. It's a choice. Fundamentally, it's a choice. You get to choose. What do you want to create? It's like right now you can be sitting there like really depressed and this and that. And I sympathize. It's not that. Okay? I've many people who I've dealt with who, have come from very difficult situations. But you know what? It starts with one decision and one decision only. What am I going to trust right now? Am I going to make the decision to trust in something that is wonderful, or am I going to trust in something that is absolutely horrible? Now, again, both realities are valid. It's not that. Everything is possible. But what do you put your money on, in other words? Do you want to put your money on something that you fear, or do you want to put your money on something that you would like to actually manifest in your life? Outside all of the fears, outside all of the anxieties, and this and that, what do you want to start trusting in? It starts with one decision. Because if you make this decision one time, you can make it again tomorrow. You can make it again an hour later or 2 hours later, and continue making the decision to trust in something that you prefer versus that you don't prefer. That's all. It goes one decision by decision by decision. Now, again, obviously, I'm going to say that I recommend highly to get into coaching, to examine your belief system, because let's face it, I cannot cover your belief system in an audio on an internet without getting to know you. Okay? This is why a lot of people are so frustrated. They keep watching these innumerable videos on the internet and not getting any results, or maybe getting results, but quite mediocre ones. You really need to get to know yourself. What it is that I'm working with here. Because if you're operating from a fear-based creation, this is because you're investing in fears and you might not know the extent of the amount of fears you have, the kinds of fears, or how to circumvent these fears, how to work around those fears that are preventing you right now to really get the most out of your life. Investing in fear is kind of like a black hole. You can keep investing in fear and be frustrated about it, or one by one, you can start turning it around and investing in knowing everybody's guided by the universe, by their higher self. It's not possible that you right now listening to me, you don't have a higher self or a guardian angel. Some people work so hard against it, they become, really entrenched in some kind of situation that, quite frankly, doesn't serve them. But if you make the choice to work towards your goals, towards being guided, towards being motivated, and towards the inspiration and intuition that is constantly trying to guide you, and not fight it, and not come from a place of ego or, fighting your coach, then you can really achieve some results. And look at, you know what? I understand why people fight me. Because I trigger them on such a level. I'm very intuitive. You come to me, you be prepared. I'm like an X-ray machine. I see right through you. You can't hide from me. And I know what it is. And some people, like, I have to deliver it gently. And to some people, I don't really have the patience, and I'm just going to give it to you straight. But I always am straightforward. I always am straightforward. I will never bullshit you. I will tell you like it is. And if you don't like the fucking truth, well then, the problem is with you, not with me. But you can't hide from me. So be prepared for the truth. And some people don't like it. They get triggered. And they start, being a little bit, challenging. Let's just put it this way. Now, it's like this, right? I can sugarcoat it to you till the end of fucking time. Or I can give it to you straight what actually happened and how you get to resolve your issues. And then you can go on your merry, jolly life in a shorter period of time that it would have taken you watching these 500 million videos. I'm just going on the assumption that you want to save yourself some time and some money in the process. Because a lot of people come to me and they say, oh yeah, Anna, I've been to so many coaches and this and that and this course and that course and nothing came of it. Right. So then, do you want to get with the program and actually do the work, or you want to keep spending money left and right? I just want to know the truth. And I think from you, and I just want to deliver the truth. I think the truth is friendly. Facts are friendly. So when you're signing up for coaching with me, a lot of my clients will tell you it's a boot camp. I don't sugarcoat shit. I tell you like it is. If you don't like the fucking truth, you're the one with the problem. Most of the people come into my coaching with some kind of like prolonged situation that has been going on for years. So if you've been dealing with it already for years and you can spend like 2 to 3 months in coaching with me, isn't this like amazing? That I can take you to the next level in such a short period of time? I would say yes. I would sign on a dotted line immediately, but that's just me, you know? I just like to get shit done. Anyway, back to the subject of today. So it's basically fear versus certainty in mind. And that's what you're trying to establish, right? How to abandon the fear and how to reconstruct your belief system in such a way where you have certainty in mind. And the question I'd like for you to ask yourself is like, what would it feel like if you became that indestructible person, permanently so? Don't worry, I'll wait. Feels amazing, doesn't it? It feels like heaven. And I want you to know that you can reside there permanently. You can. It's possible. You can throw away your fears and float free. Completely. If you let yourself. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, okay? It definitely doesn't happen overnight. You really need to allow yourself the chance to work at it. It's work. It's a gym. It's a mental gym, but it's definitely a gym, right? But just like you develop this anxiety, the OCD and PTSD, you can undevelop it. You can reconstruct the brain structure. All it is your brain structure at the end of the day. It is. And with parallel realities, okay, the next minute you can become somebody else or start becoming somebody else. So, you know, people have healed themselves of diseases, of anxiety, you name it, and under the sun, all sorts of situations have happened. But in the next minute, you can start becoming somebody different. But the decision is yours if you really want to become that somebody else. The workaround is this. You start filling into the parallel reality, which I just described, that what if you were indestructible? Meaning, what if you weren't affected by these conditions? What if this is just one version of you, and then the next version that you can transfer your consciousness to is completely unaffected by the anxiety, OCD or PTSD, or depression, whatever? What if that version already exists in a parallel reality, and all you need to do is start tuning into that version on a regular basis and get to know that version and fuse with it? And start questioning, why am I afraid? Why am I believing what I'm believing? Why would I rather buy into the fear and put my money on the fear rather than faith? And the best outcome for me, because both scenarios are equal. The reality of things is that you're already that person that you want to be. In the parallel reality, you are. Just by me introducing this question to you and asking you what would it feel like, you already imagine this person. Because you already are that person in the parallel reality. You are. Now, the amount of time, quote unquote, that it takes you to get there, that's the muscle that you have to exercise on a daily basis. But you already are that person who has conquered all that fear, and you are already okay just the way that you are. And that's the bare truth. Now, if you don't believe it, if you don't buy into it, you're still buying into the fear rather than faith. But again, the choice is equal. You can start buying into the good rather than, the quote-unquote bad. There's something that you don't prefer. But both choices are equal. But the reality is that you're already that person. You've always been that person. You will always be that person. In the parallel reality, you've always been that person. Now, the reason that you're choosing to stay where you are is because maybe you weren't aware that you can make a choice. But in the moment you become aware that you can make a choice and start making the transition from the person who is, afraid, driven by fear, to the person who is driven by intuition, for example, inspiration, passion, love, okay, then it starts to shift. And I gotta tell you, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. And change is not exactly easy, but it's necessary. It's the one true constant. If you're not changing, you're going back. It's kind of like the universe is for expansion. So if you're staying in your anxiety and this and that, it's deterioration. You need to propel yourself forward. You need to start making decisions and choices. If you're aware of a problem, that there is a problem, you need to do something about it, right? Again, example being, if you're aware of a big pile of fucking garbage in your living room, aren't you going to start taking it out? It's just like that. It's just like that. And again, the process is not pleasant. Look at most people, like, I want to warn people who want to start coaching with me, okay? Here's the deal. Number one, I'm direct. Number two, the beginning of the coaching is not pleasant. Why? Because we do address the pile of garbage in the middle of the living room. And most people don't want to do that. They'd rather bury the fucking pile of garbage under the carpet and pretend it's not there. And that's a mistake because, well, for many reasons, but for one, it stinks. But if I'm being totally, straightforward and honest, you will never get away from your patterns. If you don't address the monster in the closet, the pile of garbage in the middle of the living room, you will never serve champagne in your living room. It doesn't go together. There will be no profound change. Many coaches will tell you on the internet, oh yeah, do this technique and that technique. And without the profound change that really needs to take place, and it does take real examination of yourself. And not a lot of people want to do that. And the people who are brave enough to do that are, that's what change looks like. It's uncomfortable. It fucking sucks. Okay, you need to go through this detox period where you feel like, you know what? This is shit. I feel worse than before. Right. Because in the detox, the toxins are coming up. What do you expect? It needs to be that way. So that for the rest of your life, you're set. And you know exactly what to do next. It's not until we process all of your beliefs and your anxiety and fears and this and that I move on in my coaching to manifestation. Now, I could be one of those, ding-dongs on the internet and say, oh yeah, here's my course and blah, 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 and, pay me this amount and then I'll teach you how to manifest. That's bullshit. Seriously though, that's lying to people. I don't lie. I don't have the need to lie. I say it like it is. And my purpose is to really deliver people out of their dysfunction by telling them that whatever their blueprint is right now, their fears, that's not what will take you there. And I need to examine that. And that is unpleasant. It obviously, because it doesn't work. It really doesn't fucking work. If it doesn't work, is it really pleasant to get rid of the belief system that is currently in place? Don't worry, I'll wait. I would rather tell you the truth and, know that I delivered what will actually help you, even if it's not pleasant for you to hear, versus some sugarcoating marshmallow bullshit on the internet that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Sure, it attracts lots of likes and lots of comments and this and that, but it's not the truth. It's like the analogy being is like when somebody says, "Oh, look, this person is an overnight sensation." Okay. Overnight sensation. People work their asses off to be an overnight sensation. Overnight is when you find out about them. Relax, please. Real success takes work. It takes work. It takes showing up and doing the fucking work. There's no other way. There is no other way. It's not until you put in the work that you really get the results. Okay, let me go back to my subject and then I'll wrap this up. The workarounds with the anxiety, OCD, and PTSD, other than working on your beliefs, is in the case of people with anxiety, OCD, and PTSD, they need to create their worlds. And I talk about this in my other audios, but more poignantly with people who are very sensitive and with these kinds of situations, it's mandatory that you create your worlds of where you would actually like to be. Meaning, creating from the point of view of that fairy tale. Creating that world where everything already exists, what you want to accomplish. And you visit that world as often as possible. Now, this might seem like escapism and this and that, but it isn't. It actually comes true. I know this from my practice. I know this from my clients. I know this from myself. In the case of, people suffering with anxiety, it helps because they remind themselves where it is they're going and what the motivation is, and reminding like where they're shifting. It needs to be that you're constantly referring to where it is you're going, not where you've been. Because granted, where you've been is, might not have been so great, but where you're going could be a fairy tale. It really could. And I'm trying to find some time to pick this nice chalkboard to illustrate how the timelines actually work. And one of these days I'll actually get around to it. For sure this month, and I'll make a face video. You guys are all waiting for that, I'm sure. To illustrate how this actually works, because when you change in the present, you change timelines in the present. And so by changing the timeline in the present, by referring to a different timeline of the world that you would rather be in, that's the timeline you go into, and therefore not only the present changes, obviously, but the past does too, and does the future. It's a complete, I need to show it to you. I need to really draw it, and I really want to make like a good presentation for you guys. But essentially, it's the workaround is that, meaning you circumvent completely like any kind of fears, any kind of anxieties, any kind of situations in the past. It's a little bit more delicate and intricate than that, but I'm just giving you like the gist of it, okay? So please don't misunderstand that this is like, the magic trick that's going to solve your anxiety and this and that. No, I really need to discuss it with you in coaching and this and that. But the thing is, you really need to transfer yourself into parallel reality by going there more often. That's the thing. But the way to do it is first to examine what you've done thus far. The processing of emotions, of why you got this condition, why you are scared, why you are fearful. This is really important, because without validating and taking out the garbage, and validating meaning acknowledging, like, oh, look, here's a pile of garbage. Now, what am I to do with this? Oh, let me start fucking taking it out. Yeah, because it's about fucking time. This is why it's so comical when people start resisting me when I'm trying to help them. It's almost like, I don't understand. What the fuck is the problem? It's like, you want to reside in your dysfunction? Okay, fine. I mean, again, and it's like most of my clients are beautiful people. It's just incomparable. I've been blessed with lots of wonderful people. But once in a while, there's a person who really challenges me and I just don't understand what the fuck the problem is. And I think it's resistance to change because the dysfunction is so familiar, they can't get enough of it. And they would rather sit in the living room with a pile of garbage. But, I'm a dreamer. I'd like to inspire others to be dreamers and encourage them to change for the better and maybe encourage others to be better versions of themselves. Magic is hard to explain and deliver in words, but I'm trying my best because my motivation, behind this channel, I started it when it was COVID time, and my motivation was to uplift people, to encourage them to dream bigger and to be better versions of themselves. And then I thought about coaching because, frankly, somebody asked me, and I didn't really want it to put it like in public because it was, most of my clients were word of mouth and this and that. And like I said, I, coached mostly entertainment people. But I went for it, and I really hope that it helps. I really hope that it helps people because I have to be honest. I really do care about people, and I really do care about changing their lives. Partially because I know what it's like to be on the other side of that. Not knowing what to do and this and that. And I came to New York very young, and I wish I had somebody tell me all these things. It was only like 2011, 2012 that I started developing some kind of understanding of where I'm going. And everything I have, all the knowledge that I have accumulated, even before then, I started meditating. But I really dove into metaphysics like around 2011, 2012. And this is all I'm giving you. I'm giving it to you, all of my knowledge and everything that I've experienced with other clients. And I hope it really helps. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, my email and information is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.